Imagine a quiet house, you know, the kind you see in any suburb. Just a normal Tuesday.
Right.
Then picture that quiet, just shattering. January 15th, 1974, Wichita, Kansas. A family of four, the Oteros, Joseph, Julie, and their two young kids, Joey and Josephine.
Found in their own home.
Exactly, meticulously bound, strangled. And the truly chilling thing, this wasn't some quick break-in gone wrong.
No, Argo.
The evidence suggested the killer broke in while they were home, lingered for hours, exerting this absolute cold control.
That detail, the time he spent there, the methodical nature, it was almost more disturbing than the violence itself.
It really was. It signaled something new, didn't it?
Absolutely. That scene, horrifying as it wasn't just a crime. It felt orchestrated. A terrifying debut, really.
A debut.
Yeah, it introduced this completely unprecedented kind of fear to Wichita, a community that, frankly, wasn't prepared for something like this.
And could they be?
It wasn't passion. It wasn't convenience, like theft gone bad. This was different, calculated. The start of a predator's reign that would just hang over the city for decades.
And it did hang there. For over 30 years, this unseen predator, this ghost, held an entire city captive. He'd later give himself a name, a terrifying acronym, BTK, bind, torture, kill.
Chilling.
And the mystery just deepened over time. How could one person operate with such brutal consistency, even taunting the police for decades, and just melt back into the shadows?
Right. How do you stay invisible for that long?
And beyond just the how, what does a case like this force us to ask about, you know, the masks people wear?
Yeah.
About evil hiding in plain sight? Even after he was caught, those questions linger, don't they?
They absolutely do. Because we're not just talking about a series of horrific murders here, as awful as they were. We're digging into a really singular, terrifying psychological profile.
Singular how?
Well, the killer, Dennis Rader, as we now know, he didn't just kill. He had this profound, almost like insatiable need for recognition.
He wanted credit.
More than credit. He wanted to narrate it. He turned the whole thing, the investigation, into this perverse game. Cat and mouse, sure, but where the mouse was also writing the story.
That's deeply unsettling.
It is. This communication obsession, it wasn't just simple narcissism, though that was there. It was, you could argue, a form of psychological sadism aimed at the whole community.
By controlling the narrative.
Exactly. Sending those letters, those packages.
Yeah.
It kept the fear alive.
Yeah.
Kept him powerful in people's minds long after the actual crimes. It suggests this deep emptiness inside him, maybe. A void that only constant attention, even fear and notoriety could fill, just for a moment.
And that communication, it must have made the investigation incredibly difficult.
Profoundly complicated. Every letter, every contact was a calculated move in his twisted game. It made him visible, in a sense, but also utterly elusive. He was hiding in plain sight through his words.
So let's go back to the beginning, the genesis of this terror. That January day in 1974, the Oteros.
Yeah, the Otero family murders. That set the horrifying benchmark.
Joseph, Julie, 9-year-old Joseph Jr., 11-year-old Josephine. Found in their home on North Edgemore Street.
Ordinary street, ordinary family.
And the details that came out were just stomach-turning. He broke in while they were there, surprised them during their morning routine.
Took them captive in their own home.
And then methodically, one by one, bound, tortured, killed each of them. Can you even begin to imagine the terror? Hours trapped in your own house with someone like that?
It's almost impossible to comprehend. The level of calculated cruelty, that deliberate extension of suffering, it was immediately clear this wasn't just any criminal.
So what did investigators see right away? What were those signature elements?
Well, the Otero scene immediately highlighted some key things. The use of sophisticated binding techniques, really elaborate knots.
Sophisticated? What does that suggest?
It suggested this wasn't his first time working with ropes. Maybe some kind of training, military, maybe even something recreational like South's, ironically enough. It wasn't just random. And even more telling was his choice to spend hours in the house with them. That goes way beyond typical motives like, you know, immediate gratification or robbery.
Right, that time element again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being there for hours, the methodical killing of each person, it pointed to this overwhelming desire for power and control, not just over one person, but over entire families.
Family specifically?
That seemed to be a preference, especially early on. Families with children killing multiple people in one go. It really set BTK apart from many other serial killers who might focus on individual targets, often for purely sexual reasons. For Rader, it seems, it was about total domination of that family unit, shattering the home.
Turning their safe space into his stage.
Precisely. imposing his will completely on everyone inside. It was about the ultimate control.
But the horror didn't end with the Oteros, did it?
No, tragically not. Just a few months later, April 1974, Catherine Bright, a young woman, 21 years old.
Attacked in her home, too.
Yes, bound, strangled, tortured. Very similar method. Her brother Kevin was there too, attacked, but he survived. A crucial detail.
Did he see the attacker?
He did, but tragically couldn't provide a clear enough description to lead to an identification at the time. And despite this emerging pattern, the investigation hit walls immediately.
What kind of walls?
Just a frustrating lack of physical evidence. It was like the killer was a ghost. Almost no fingerprints left behind, no witnesses who could really ID him, just a horrific scene.
And then he just stopped.
Right. After Catherine Bright, he vanished. For almost 4 years, complete silence, no known attacks.
4 years? That must have driven investigators crazy.
It baffled them. Why stop? Did he die? Move away? Was he in jail for something else? Or was the silence itself part of his game, leaving the city hanging in fear?
Just letting that question mark linger.
Exactly. The whole city was holding its breath, waiting.
And this was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
How well did law enforcement even understand this kind of killer back then?
That's a really key point. Serial killers were just not well understood in the 1970s. The term wasn't even widely used yet. Yeah. You didn't have the big FBI databases like VICAP or the widespread criminal profiling techniques that came later from the behavioral science unit.
So each case was treated separately?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Especially across different jurisdictions. Police departments might investigate a murder as an isolated incident. There wasn't the national network or the conceptual framework to easily connect the dots between seemingly random crimes that might actually be linked.
Which played right into his hands.
Perfectly. It let him operate under the radar. So when he did strike again, in March 1977.
Who is the victim then?
Shirley Vienne, and tragically her 3 young children as well, in their home. And the scene was described as identical to the previous killings.
Oh, God. The same pattern?
Chillingly consistent. It solidified the signature, absolutely. But still, frustratingly, no direct leads came from it. It was this awful cycle.
Yeah.
Silence, then devastating violence, then silence again.
A testament to how elusive he was and maybe the limits of investigation back then.
Absolutely. People would just start to breathe easier during the quiet times, and then, bam, the terror would start all over again.
Okay, so we have the horrific crimes, the pattern emerging, the baffling silence. But then comes this other layer, the communication, that really sets BTK apart.
It really does. This is where the case takes a unique and, frankly, deeply disturbing turn. His direct engagement.
When did that start?
The first communication, his sinister debut as the narrator of his own crimes, came in October 1974, about 9 months after the Otero murders.
And who did he contact? The police?
No, brazenly, he sent a letter to the Wichita Eagle newspaper.
The media?
Yep, claiming responsibility for the Otero killings. And he signed it, BTK. Bind, torture, kill, he named himself.
Wow. And what made it so convincing?
It included details. Specific, horrific details about the murders that only the killer could possibly know, things that hadn't been released to the public.
Undeniable proof.
Exactly. And the letter itself showed something else. This guy was intelligent, articulate. It was written in a clear, organized way, not rambling, calculated, precise, taunting.
It just makes you wonder, what kind of person gets satisfaction from that? Not just the killing, but the telling. The game.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does that reveal about their underlying psychology? That need to be seen, to be known, to be feared, even if it's just through these chilling letters.
And it wasn't just one letter.
Oh, no, not by a long shot. This evolved into literally decades of correspondence, a whole chilling narrative he was crafting.
What else did he send?
Letters, poems, even packages containing actual evidence.
Evidence, like what?
Chillingly. Items taken from his victims, driver's licenses, jewelry, other really personal belongings, macabre trophies.
Oh my God. That's possessive. Control it.
It's an extension of the control, absolutely. Reliving the power he had over them and then flaunting it to the police, to the world, and the content of the letters. Extremely graphic detail about the crimes. Sometimes crude drawings or diagrams of the murder scenes. And always laced with direct taunts aimed at law enforcement. It was psychological warfare.
He wanted to be the director.
He absolutely did. And what made it even harder for investigators was the sheer unpredictability.
How so?
He'd go silent for years sometimes. You'd think maybe he's gone, maybe it's over. Then boom, A flurry of letters or packages all at once, plunging the city back into fear.
Impossible to predict.
Very difficult to predict his behavior or use the communications to track him, and it became clear he was studying their responses.
He was learning.
Oh, yeah. He'd reference previous communications, adjust his methods based on what the police said or did. It showed how calculated and adaptable he was, almost like he was studying criminology from the other side.
Refining his methods.
Constantly refining his dark craft, always trying to stay one step ahead.
Investigating that must have been an absolute nightmare.
A complete maze. You had law enforcement agencies from all over trying to analyze these communications, poring over every word looking for any slip-up.
But he was careful.
Very careful not to reveal too much about himself personally. Used false names, threw in misleading information deliberately. He enjoyed the game, the mental chess match.
And the media attention.
That added a whole other layer of complexity. When details leaked, which they inevitably did, it created this huge media frenzy.
Which he probably loved.
Perversely, it seemed to encourage him. He absolutely enjoyed the attention, the notoriety. He'd even reference media reports in his letters, responding to them.
A chilling feedback loop.
Exactly. The public's fear and the media spotlight just fed his ego, validated him in his own twisted way. He became this living bogeyman.
So the killings continued, even with these communications happening.
Yes, the spree stretched through the late 70s and into the 80s, punctuated by those terrifying silences. December 1977, Nancy Fox. Found in her home.
Same method.
Bound, strangled, evidence of torture. His signature was all over it. But there was a disturbing touch. He'd placed her driver's license on her bed, rearranged her body, almost like posing her for himself.
Ugh.
Then years passed again. April 1985, Marine Hedge. This case was slightly different. He actually abducted her from her home.
Abducted? That's bolder.
It showed an escalation, maybe more confidence or audacity. Her remains were found weeks later. Again, bound, strangled, tortured, unmistakably BTK.
And the last one.
His last known victim was Dolores Davis, January 1991. Her body was found under a bridge.
Not in her home.
No, which was a deviation. Maybe suggesting he was evolving his methods again, perhaps needing more control over the disposal or trying to throw investigators off.
And after Dolores Davis,
he stopped killing. For over a decade, another long, chilling silence descended. Was he still out there, waiting? That was the question.
So you have this activity spread over nearly 2 decades, these communications, this clear signature. Why couldn't they catch him for so long? It seems baffling.
It does seem baffling in retrospect, but there were significant hurdles.
Like what?
Well, first, just the sheer time frame, 1974 to 1991. Connecting crimes that far apart in real time, especially with the technology and methods of the 70s and 80s, was incredibly difficult.
Right, no central database back then.
Exactly. And second, he was meticulous at the crime scenes. Extremely careful about leaving physical evidence, wore gloves, cleaned up. He planned his entries and exits very carefully.
Almost unnervingly professional about it.
He had this uncanny ability to just avoid detection during and after the crimes. And his communications, while giving clues, were also intentionally misleading.
The double-edged sword again?
Right. He'd put false information in the letters to send investigators down rabbit holes. He was actively manipulating the investigation through his words.
And you mentioned he adapted.
Crucially, yes. He learned from his mistakes, refined his methods. He got more sophisticated over time, took even greater care to avoid leaving clues. He was evolving as a killer.
And the media pressure.
That didn't always help either. Intense media coverage, while raising awareness, also put immense pressure on police to solve it quickly. That can sometimes lead to mistakes or tunnel vision in a long, complex case like this.
So for you listening, think about that. How does someone maintain that kind of double life, getting better at avoiding detection year after year?
It speaks to a level of self-control, compartmentalization, just a psychological detachment that's really hard to fathom.
Truly astounding. But eventually, even his facade cracked.
Even the most careful planning can unravel.
And the breakthrough came years later, didn't it, in 2004?
Completely unexpectedly. After 13 years of silence. 13 years where people assumed BTK was dead, gone, incarcerated for something else.
He just reappeared.
He resumed communications, started taunting law enforcement and the media again. It was almost an act of pure hubris, like he couldn't stand being forgotten.
A critical mistake.
A huge turning point. But this time, there was a key difference. He was using modern technology, computers, the internet.
New tools for him.
New tools. And while he was still careful, compared to maybe, the average person, he wasn't as savvy with this new tech. He started making mistakes.
Leaving digital footprints.
Subtle ones he hadn't left before, like an old predator on new hunting grounds.
And technology had advanced on the police side too, right?
Massively. That resumption of contact, plus the passage of time, created this perfect storm for catching him. Forensic technology, especially DNA analysis, had leaped forward.
So old evidence became useful again.
Exactly. Tiny traces of DNA, maybe skin cells under a victim's fingernail from decades ago, things that were too small to test back then, could now be amplified and potentially matched against new databases.
Wow.
And maybe just as importantly, Rader himself was older. Perhaps less careful, maybe a bit complacent after getting away with it for so long.
Making mistakes he wouldn't have made earlier.
It seems so, leaving more evidence behind, especially in his digital communications. And the decisive break, the real crack in the wall.
What was it?
He sent a package to a TV station in Wichita. And inside that package was a computer disk, a floppy disk, actually.
A floppy disk in 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when law enforcement analyzed that disk, they found metadata, hidden digital information.
Data about data.
Exactly. Info embedded in the file itself, who created it, what computer was used. And in Rader's case, the metadata on a deleted file pointed to a computer at the Christ Lutheran Church in Wichita.
Where he was involved.
Where he was the president of the church congregation.
Mm-hmm.
It was a direct, undeniable link.
Incredible the technology caught him.
That and his own digital activities. He'd started posting messages online on various websites and forums, sort of cryptically discussing his crimes. That allowed police to track his online footprint, too. More breadcrumbs.
So after all those years of careful evasion, why re-engage? Why risk it with technology he clearly didn't fully understand?
And a fascinating question. Was it ego? A need to reclaim the spotlight? Or maybe just a fundamental misunderstanding of how traceable digital actions had become?
Whatever the reason, it led them right to him.
The very tools he used to taunt, the narrative he tried to control, ultimately undid him.
And then came the arrest, the unmasking.
February 25th, 2005. The end of a decades-long manhunt.
And where did they find him? Not hiding out somewhere remote?
No. Quietly arrested at his home in Park City, Kansas, a suburb right near Wichita. And the shock in the community was just immense.
Because he seems so normal.
Completely ordinary. A family man. Worked as a compliance officer for the city, enforcing local codes, a leader in his church, married, 2 kids, no criminal record.
Compliance officer.
Wow, the irony is thick, isn't it? He was the guy telling other people to follow the rules, waved to neighbors, led Boy Scout troops.
Boy Scout leader, church leader, it's hard to reconcile.
It's profoundly disturbing. This man managed to hide his true nature, this horrific secret, for so long, living this meticulous double life right under everyone's noses.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How well do you actually know anyone?
It forces that question. And the investigation after his arrest painted an even darker picture.
What did they find out about his background?
It became clear this wasn't sudden. He'd been fascinated by bondage and torture since he was a child. Developed these elaborate, detailed fantasies about killing over decades.
Fantasies he planned out.
Meticulously. And his criminal behavior started young theft, animal cruelty, early warning signs of a deeply disturbed psyche that just went unchecked.
And he documented it all.
Kept detailed journals and diaries.
Yeah.
Documented his fantasies, his crimes, almost like lab notes, chillingly detached. And he collected souvenirs.
The trophies.
Those driver's licenses, jewelry, personal items from the victims, tangible reminders of his power over them.
The trial must have been intense.
Hugely publicized. The prosecution laid out overwhelming evidence.
Yeah.
The DNA match was irrefutable. His own confessions were detailed and delivered in this flat, unemotional monotone that was just chilling.
Did she show any remorse?
Very little, by most accounts. His defense argued mental illness, narcissistic personality disorder, but the evidence was just too strong.
And the verdict?
Convicted on 10 counts of first-degree murder. Sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms. He'll never get out. A grim end to his reign of terror.
But the case's impact didn't end with the conviction, did it? It changed things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It fundamentally shifted the understanding for many of what a serial killer could look like.
Not just the lone weirdo stereotype.
Exactly. It showed they can be intelligent, articulate, seemingly normal people hiding in plain sight. Masters of compartmentalization, separating their monstrous inner life from their mundane outer one.
And for law enforcement.
A huge lesson in persistence. The importance of never giving up on cold cases and embracing new technology. DNA analysis was obviously key, but also the need for different agencies to coordinate better.
Solving a 70s case with 2000s tech, That offers hope.
It really does, for many other unsolved cases. But maybe the most unsettling question came back to his family.
Who apparently knew nothing.
Completely unaware, living with him day in, day out. How is that possible? How well do we really know the people closest to us?
How do you reconcile the monster with the husband, the father, the church leader?
It challenges our basic assumptions about identity, about the hidden evil that might just be beneath the surface of everyday life.
So the BTK case, it's more than just a true crime story, isn't it?
Much more. It's a really chilling look at the dark side of human nature.
A story about persistence too, though, holding on to hope for decades.
Definitely. But also about the enduring mystery of evil itself.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Rader's terrifying decades, maybe the question that sticks with you is this. Is that line between good and evil really clear?
Or is it just frighteningly blurry sometimes?
Or is it just that seemingly ordinary people can hide the most profound secrets, live completely invisible, dark lives until it's far too late? What does it really mean to grasp the human capacity for darkness? And how much of it is still out there, hidden?
In that unique aspect, Raiders need to communicate to control the story. It gives us this incredibly disturbing window into his mind.
But it also led to his downfall.
Paradoxically, yes. His obsession with being the author of his own terror, his inability to stay silent, created the very clues that caught him. It's a chilling reminder, isn't it? Even when they're caught, the sentence is passed. The fundamental why often just remains. A haunting echo in the silence.